Yeah, today's guys video, we're going to be reacting to his story. Let's see, he has a bunch of shorts. So this is gonna be a pretty long video. But I'm gonna try and get through half of his shorts.
I hit a huge home run and was about to celebrate, but the catcher suddenly pushed me to the ground. "Cheater, you cheated!" He ripped his mask off and pointed at my bat in the dirt. "Check his bat." Cheating. Eyes widened as I looked up at him. "Dude, that's not funny. Is this because the scouts chose me over you?" "Shut up, ump. Check his bat." The umpire pushed his glasses up his nose and slowly picked it up. My jaw clenched. My own bat had felt heavy during warm-ups, so I grabbed a spare off the rack. But if this random bat had weights in it, I would lose the scout's offer, and my entire life would be ruined. The ump turned the bat over in his hands, then stopped on a scuff near the barrel, and his whole face went red. I see something. My hands started sweating. He called time and waved my run off the board. 12,000 people came down on me at once. The catcher cackled as loud as he could. See, I knew he was cheating, but the ump adjusted his glasses and shook his head. "Wait, false alarm." My glasses were cloudy. The catcher's body locked up as the ump turned to him. "This bat is clean." I smirked and nodded my head, but then the catcher's hands started trembling. No way, that's clean." The ump told him to get back behind the plate, and he lost it. "Unscrew the knob." I put it in there myself. The field went silent. His own dugout stood up, and his own coach asked, "Did he just say he put something in there?" The ump unscrewed the knob and turned it over, but nothing came out. Every head on the field turned to me, so I announced, "That's not my bat. Mine's still in the dugout." So he walked to our dugout, pulled my bat, and tipped it over the plate. 3 lead weights rolled out into the dirt. The catcher's eyes lit up. "See, I told you there's no way the bat's clean. I put those in myself so the scouts would regret choosing him over me." He was nodding, smiling, but the ump put one hand on his shoulder and waved over security. "Get this idiot off the field." Security walked him off, and my run went back up. I hit a grandma walked into my cafe with her little oxygen waster grandson, and as soon as she opened her mouth to order, he snapped his grimy fingers at her. "You're taking too long, bruh. Let me just do it," he yelled. "Black coffee and lemonade with 2 pancakes, extra syrup," at me, then grabbed her purse from her shaking hands and threw her money down. "Keep the change. She doesn't need it." I noticed the grandma's eyes fill with tears as she told him, "I can do it myself, sweetie," but he shook his head. "Not since your stroke you can't. You're practically a vegetable now." I clenched my fists in anger but stayed silent. But then they walked to their table. He pulled her chair out and smiled. "Let me get your chair." I thought he was being sweet, but then his smile twisted, and he pulled the chair out completely without her seeing. She went to sit down, and my jaw dropped in horror, because if she fell, she'd probably break something. I knew there was no time to warn her, so I ran and dove on all fours. She sat right on me, and I watched the little parasite's smile drop as he realized his prank had failed. The grandma grabbed her chest. "Why are you down there? Where's my chair?" And I instead explained everything. She turned to her grandson, whose face was beet red and humiliated in front of everyone. He put his hood up and muttered, "Whatever, let's just get our pancakes." But when he went to sit down, Grandma pulled out his chair. He fell butt first on the tiles, and I heard his tailbone crack. The sound echoed, and she started laughing as he sat on the floor crying. Now that's a pain in the ass. A grandma walked into
On the cross.
I was swallowing my daily vitamin when it got lodged in my throat, and my airway slammed shut. I grabbed at my neck, wheezing, and waved at my girlfriend of 2 years across the kitchen to help me. But she laughed. "You're fine, bruh. Just swallow it." She'd been acting weird all week, but this was a new level. I slapped the counter, pointing at my neck with my mouth wide open. But she rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. Why wasn't she panicking while I suffocated right in front of her? Finally, she walked over, but instead of hitting my back, she tilted my head back and shoved a glass of water at my lips. "Stop choking and just wash it down." The water flooded my throat, and the pills sank deeper. My wheezing turned into suffocating, and my vision started spotting. I needed to do something quick, so on my own, I doubled over the counter and gagged, and the pill inched up, almost free, but she yanked me upright by the collar and forced my chin up. "No, keep it down. Swallow it." It lodged worse than before, and now I couldn't make a single sound. I mouthed, "Are you trying to kill me?" And my legs buckled as she stood over me. Then she got angry. "You're pissing me off. Why won't you just swallow it?" That's when it hit me. She wasn't failing to save me. She was actually trying to kill me. So I threw myself stomach first onto the back of a chair, and the pill shot out of my mouth and skidded across the floor. I gasped because I noticed the color. My vitamins were white, but this one was baby blue. I picked it up and read the letters stamped into it. Fentanyl. My stomach dropped because choking is the only thing that saved me. But who would try to kill me? Then I looked up, and my girlfriend held out 5 more baby blue pills in her palm and a glass of water. You were supposed to swallow it. Now swallow these. My blood went cold. Why are you trying to kill me, you freak? She crossed her arms. I saw you like another girl's post on Instagram. That's why she was being weird all week. But if she was crazy, I'd be crazier. So I liked another girl's post right in front of her, stuck my tongue out, and ran away. I was swallowing my dick. I'd been driving Uber for 6 hours and was ready to call it a night when a girl threw herself into my back seat. Please help. My friend is having a seizure and needs a ride to the hospital. She had tears streaming down her face and her hands were shaking as she pointed me toward a side street. She's just a few blocks that way. I'll explain everything on the way. She looked really scared, so I quickly started driving the direction she had pointed. The girl started wiping her tears with her sleeve. My roommate has epilepsy, but she hasn't had an episode in years, so I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't get her in my car alone. I asked if we should call an ambulance, and she shook her head hard. It's faster this way, and she doesn't have insurance. She kept glancing at her phone, telling me turn after turn to take until I was in a part of the city I didn't usually drive through this late. My stomach tightened with every unfamiliar street sign, and my hands gripped the wheel harder than they needed to. Just 2 more blocks. I noticed her hands had stopped shaking, but I told myself it was just her calming down now that help was close. She had me pull into an alley behind a row of closed shops. She's just past the dumpsters. She didn't want anyone to see her like this. I killed the engine and started to get out to help carry her roommate. And that's when I saw that the girl in my rearview mirror wasn't crying anymore. She was smiling. 2 guys stepped out from behind the dumpsters and tore my door open before I could react. Nice guys like you make this so easy. They took my wallet, my phone, and my keys, while the girl stood off to the side with her arms crossed. They left me standing in that alley with nothing but the clothes on my back, and I had to walk 2 miles in the dark before my hands stopped shaking enough to knock on a stranger's door and ask to use their phone. The police never found her, the guys, or my car. I still drive for a living, but now I keep my doors locked and only pick up passengers confirmed through the Uber app. I'd been driving Uber for 6 hours and was ready to call it a night when a girl threw herself into my back.
What the freak? Wait a minute. Teacher story? What the? There's a teacher story? No, I might react to that in a different video.
Seat. Please help. My friend is having a seizure and needs a ride to the hospital. She had tears streaming down her face and her hands were shaking as she pointed me toward a side street. I rubbed my grandpa's dusty lamp and yelled, I wish Amelia loves Ian more than anything else in the world. This was my last hope to get together with my crush Amelia after being rejected by her 6 times. I threw the lamp away and jumped around the room in celebration because Amelia was now guaranteed to fall in love with Ian, or in other words, me. So the next morning, I strutted into school with my head held high, already picturing her obsessing over me by lunch. But as soon as I sat down in my class, our teacher walked in with a new transfer kid who was 6 feet tall and looked twice as attractive as me. He introduced himself. What's up, everyone? My name is Ian, and my pencil froze mid-sentence, because that was my name too. Even the teacher pointed it out. Well, Ian can sit next to Ian then. Other students laughed as he walked his long legs and took the desk next to mine. This kid was stealing my identity in broad daylight, and I wanted to knock his teeth out, but I saw Amelia glance back at us, so I sat up straighter, because the wish was clearly kicking in already. All I had to do now was meet Amelia during recess.
Like, you could just say me or something. Like, why would you say Ian?
At recess, I finally spotted Amelia down the hallway, so I waved frantically, certain she was about to fall in love with me. But she sprinted right past me and leapt into the other Ian's arms, screaming, Ian! I love you, Ian! My wish had come true, word for word. She loved Ian more than anything else in the world, just the wrong one. My mouth fell open in shock, and I tipped face first into the recycling bin and stayed there with my legs sticking out while the school cheered on the new couple. I rubbed my I tiptoed over every creaky floorboard to the front door and successfully lifted my secret DoorDash Meat Lovers Supreme Pizza off the porch at 2 a.m. But when I turned around, I saw my 6-year-old brother watching me in the dark. He held out one hand, one bite. I hugged the box and shook my head no. So he laid down on the floor and opened his mouth to scream and throw a tantrum so I'd get caught. I immediately crouched down in a panic because if Mom found out, she'd ground me for the entire summer. I shoved a slice into his hands and whisper shouted, "Wait, wait, wait, take this, you monster. It's pepperoni, your favorite. Just be quiet." He sat up and started chewing, so I got ready to walk away, already smelling the 7 other juicy slices waiting to melt on my tongue. But then
A reaction video to reacting to history, but now I'm just hungry, bro.
I heard him gulp down hard on his final bite, and when I glanced back, he was flat on his back, getting ready to throw another tantrum. I sighed because he was abusing his power, and I knew the only way to win was to play a different game. So I dropped the box between us to share, and started stuffing my face, trying to eat more slices than him. When he realized what I was doing, his eyes went huge, and he dove in, and his blackmail became an eating contest. We crammed slices with both hands into our mouths, until our cheeks were so filled we looked like chipmunks, and sauce dripped down our faces, and neither of us were thinking about being quiet anymore. We were on slice number 6 when the top stair creaked and the hallway lights snapped on. Mom stood at the bottom of the stairs with her arms crossed, and we froze mid-bite. My brother pointed at me with a crust still in his fist. "He ordered it!" Mom crouched to his level. "You're both grounded for the entire summer." She took the box and dropped the last slice in her mouth as she marched us up the stairs. He leaned over and whispered, "Don't look at me. You should have just ordered 2." I tipped. My mom walked into the living room and saw me sitting on the carpet with a Kleenex hanging out of my mouth. "Spit that out right now." I spit it onto the carpet and she grabbed my shoulders. "You cannot eat tissues. Do you understand me?" I nodded, but I didn't understand because I was only
Why is bro's hair ginger, but the mom's hair is blonde?
5, and I liked how they dissolved into this soft mush on my tongue, so I just got sneakier about it. I started eating them in my room one at a time while I watched cartoons, dropping the empty boxes under other garbage in my trash can. Then one morning, I woke up and I couldn't breathe through my nose at all. My mom rushed me to the hospital, and when we got there, the doctor stuck a camera so far up my nose, I was convinced it was going to come out the other side. "He needs surgery. There is excess tissue blocking his nasal passage." My blood ran cold. The tissues. I thought about every empty box I had buried in the trash can over the past several months, and every time my parents looked at me that week, I was convinced they already knew. I couldn't even sleep because I kept imagining a surgeon pulling soggy wads of Kleenex out of my nose, while a room full of adults stood around with their arms crossed. The morning of the surgery, they made me put on a tiny gown with blue bears on it, and I lay there on the table while someone put a mask over my face. Count backwards from 10, honey. 10, 9, 8. Then everything went black, and I woke up with gauze packed into both nostrils, and my mom holding my hand. "All done, sweetheart. Everything went perfectly." I burst into tears, touching the gauze in my nose, believing that it was leftover Kleenex tissues from the surgery, but my mom just waved it off and reassured me, "It'll stop hurting and go away after a couple of days, honey," thinking I was crying due to the pain. For the next 9 years, every time someone mentioned that surgery, I changed the subject. Then when I was 14, I was taking notes in biology class while my teacher wrote on the board, "The human body contains 4 types of tissue: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue." My pen stopped moving. Body tissue, not paper tissue. I slumped over my desk, realizing that the surgery never had anything to do with the Kleenex. My mom walked into the living room and saw me sitting on the carpet.
You just have an issue, just eat a tissue. If you ever have an issue, just eat a tissue. What?
I walked into the school gym with a plastic gun and fake blood covering my shirt, ready to win the annual costume contest. I saw kids dressed in mummies and skeletons, but then a kid stumbled in wearing just jeans and a plain white shirt. I tapped him with my fake gun and asked why he entered without a costume, but when he turned around, his entire face was gray. He was clutching his stomach and dropped to the floor, and blood instantly began pooling under him. I gripped my head, wondering if this was real, but then I saw a bullet wound in his back. A girl screamed, and suddenly every head snapped towards me. They saw me standing over a bleeding out kid, holding a gun with blood on my shirt. "He shot him!" someone yelled as a teacher crouched behind a student to call 911. I instantly threw my hands up. "It's fake! My gun is a costume! This wasn't me!" I held my pistol up to prove it, but everyone instantly started climbing over each other to get away from me. I didn't know what to do, wondering if there was a real shooter in this building, and just dropped down and gripped the kid's shoulder. "Please get up. Tell them I didn't shoot you," but he wouldn't move even when I shook him. I couldn't hear him breathing, and and his blood kept spreading under my knees. My hands trembled as I threw my plastic gun across the floor, and suddenly I felt kids tackle me and pin me to the ground, twisting my arms. That's when the doors slammed open. 2 cops ran in while teachers and students screamed I'd shot someone. They drove their knees into my back, and I cried as the cuffs clicked shut behind my back. I was still thrashing and screaming I didn't do this, when suddenly I heard clapping. The principal was on his feet, grinning, while everyone stared at him horrified. He ran towards me and wrapped a gold medal around the neck of the kid on the ground. What a costume. This is why my son is the best. He smiled, and suddenly the kid sat up, alive and well. My jaw dropped as he spat an empty bag of fake blood out of his mouth, and when I looked closer, I saw the bullet in his backup was just makeup. He stood up and raised his hand. My costume was to pretend to be shot, but the cops uncuffed me and immediately cuffed him instead. Pretending to be shot at school was also your crime. You're coming with us. I walked into the...
I just found a secret glitch.
I clinked glasses with my wife and toasted to never having kids. She smiled. This is why I love you. You're okay with never having filthy gremlins running around. But then my phone rang, and when I picked it up, an officer said, "We're so sorry. Please come to Orchard Fostering Agency right now." My blood ran cold as I told my wife I needed to go. I walked into the agency with my legs shaking and saw my 8-year-old niece Lucy hugging her teddy. Her eyes were red. I knelt down. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "Daddy's dead," she replied without looking at me. I felt my legs buckle because my little brother was dead. But before I could even think, a woman tapped my shoulder. Lucy wouldn't talk to any of us. She asked for her Uncle Dan specifically. "If you can't take her tonight, she'll have to go into the foster system." I said I'll take her in before my brain could think. We climbed into my car and my hands shook on the wheel. I told my wife I'd never have kids, but when I looked at Lucy sobbing into her bear, I knew I couldn't abandon her. We pulled in and I walked inside. With a lump in my throat. My wife saw Lucy and immediately sneered. "What's she doing here?" Lucy jumped, but I told her to stay down and asked my wife.
It was first her teacher story, and then bro.
I opened the trivia game during my flight and typed my name in as Aaron Baum because my dad was from Thailand and Baum was my surname. But when a flight attendant walked by and saw Baum on my screen, she immediately speed walked to the pilot. I thought nothing and kept answering chemistry questions, but then the pilot's voice came on. "We're making an emergency landing. Nobody panic." I was confused until 2 crew members showed up to my seat. "Please come with us." I stood and followed them, my heart pounding. In the cockpit, the co-pilot closed the curtains and calmly said, "We know you have a bomb on this plane." I immediately shook my head, but a flight attendant was already zip-tying my wrists.
Last name is Aaron Baum.
So tight my fingers tingled. She pulled a tablet with the trivia game I'd been playing. "You put your username as Aaron Baum. We know you're making a discreet bomb threat." I almost laughed, explaining Aaron Baum was just my name, but the co-pilot was already calling Bomb Squad and FBI through his radio. "The best thing you can do right now is admit you're guilty. You're already getting 25 years minimum." Then a passenger pulled open our curtain. "I'm flying to my daughter's heart surgery. She could die and I might not be there to hold her hand. Do we really need to emergency land?" He was sweating, but the pilot held up his hand. "I'm sorry about your daughter, but this is more serious." A flight attendant escorted him to his seat without another word. We continued descending, and they kept asking if the bomb was on a timer and how I snuck it past security. I begged to show them my passport, but they never let me. When we made our emergency landing, 2 FBI officers rushed into the cockpit with a bomb squad holding my bag. They carefully unzipped it. "Where's the bomb?" They tossed all my things to the floor, and I again said, "I don't have one. Aaron Baum is my name." That's when the bomb squad member squinted. He opened my passport. "Says here Aaron Baum is just his name." The whole crew went silent as they looked at my passport. "Aaron Baum." The flight attendant turned to me. "We're sorry."
Why would you not even look at his passport? Bro, if I was you, I would sue them so fast.
Mr. Baum, we can offer you a $15 meal voucher for the misunderstanding. I opened the trivia game during...
So that's gonna be it for today's video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe.